Hi, welcome to part 2 of our 14.1 section in the book. Now, I don't know why this stupid screencast-o-matic sometimes only gives me 5 minutes, other times gives me 15, but I'll watch it and we'll get through it. So we're going to refresh on how to use the calculator to look at data on a scatter plot and then do a regression on it. Okay, so this will be in a Word document that will be on PowerSchool so you can print it out and look at it. But remember, when we're inputting data into our calculator, we hit the Stat button, and then in the Edit, hit Enter, and you're going to see L1 and L2 and so on. And you will go ahead and put your X points in L1 and your Y points in L2, etc. Okay, you need to make sure that you turn on your plot because we want to be able to look at scatter plot. So if you hit second Y equals, it's going to come up and show you stat plots. All right, your cursor is automatically over the number 1. Hit enter and it'll bring up plot 1. The cursor will be over the on, it'll be flashing. Hit enter, now that plot is on. And that's a scatter plot because that's the way we've been doing it. All right. Now, if your data is already in there, you would go to zoom, right? The third button in zoom stat, and you will see what the scatter plot looks like. It'll bring up data points, right? Scatter plot. Now, does it look like exponential growth or decay, which we've been looking at? Right? We'll see. And then, let's see. Then we'll go back through this again. But to do a regression, now we're going to do an exponential regression. But to do a regression in general, okay, we'd hit Stat. We'd move over one column to the Calculate column. And there's a whole bunch of regressions there. But we would scroll all the way down to number 10, which says exponential regression, and you hit enter. This is all things we've seen before when we did linear regressions and so on. So it says X list L1, Y list L2. As long as your data are in those two lists, all you have to do is scroll down to calculate and hit enter. And it'll give you the information. Here's the exponential model. It'll tell you what A is from your data. It'll tell you what B is from your data. Now, once you have this equation, you can go back to Y equals and type it in. And then it'll lay it on this. Once you hit graph, let's say our thing looks like this. I know this is weak, but your regression could lay in something like this, and you'll see how well it fits the scatter plot. All right, so we're going to work through some examples. If we want to find a rough exponential model for this data that they're giving us, we're going to use the method that we used right here, where we compare, f of x divided by the 1 in front of it, okay? So what we'll find for this data, and I've already done it, but if I divide this by this, I get 1.35. If I divide it by this, I get 1.36. So if I go through this list, I end up getting numbers that look like this. So that multiplier is rather consistent, isn't it? It's really close. Something like this. 13636. This is 1.23. Okay, that's a little different. Now remember, this is real world data. We are trying to see if we can fit it to an exponential model. Right? So these might not all be exactly the same, but they're really close. So this looks like it's exponential data. So we want to write a model, right? Something like this. We have a times some b to the x. Well, this would be that multiplier. So if we just added these up and averaged them, we'd come up with something like 1.32 for that b. Well, how